Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I am back. I'm back, everyone. Inshallah, everybody was doing well. Y'all got yourself into some shenanigans while I was not here. So I left the country for 6 days and I tried not to post on Facebook or try to get a little bit of, downtime. And but I was following. I know exactly what was going on here. So I wanted to say a few things. First, I wanted to say thank you so much to my allies, my friends, and my supporters who held a press conference on Monday. And people were texting me, "Where are you?" And I was actually in Mexico. And they did a press conference. The Justice League, the Women's March, my friends at the Communities United for Police Reform, my friends at the Jews for Racial and Economic Justice, my friends at Labor and 1199 and CWA and the Working Families Party, um, my interfaith allies, Auburn Seminary, the Interfaith Center of New York. I mean, I can sit here, Councilmember Jumani Williams and Councilmember Brad Lander and the Black Institute and Bertha was there, and I was literally in so much love and my heart was full, and I want you to know how grateful I am that you are standing in solidarity for me, not just as an individual, but as a symbol of someone who represents, the communities that I love. Arab American communities and Palestinian American communities and Muslim communities who are under attack in this country in a way that we have not seen in a really long time. So that was so meaningful to me, and I wanted to say thank you so much for that, and in particular to my sisters Tamika, Mallory, and Carmen Perez. I love you with every fiber of my being. You are my soul sisters, and I would do anything for you, and I know that I would do anything for leaders in this movement who are standing up for justice and equality for all people, taking risks on behalf of so many people, putting themselves and their families at risk. I appreciate all the love and support that I have received, and know that it has reached me from every corner. And that I know that while there is so much outrageous, baseless hate coming from a whole bunch of deplorables, and using me as a symbol of the resistance and to see how far they can go with someone like me, I just want you to know how grateful and how much courage and strength that you give me at this moment. And to all the people who signed on to a letter, I read the letter in tears, seeing people like my friend Leslie Mack and Harry Belafonte and Pamela Belafonte and Reverend William Barber III and Reverend Jackie Lewis and Vince Warren from the Center for Constitutional Rights and Judith Brown Davis and Umi Salah and all my Black Lives Matter sisters. I just am in my heart is um, just full. So thank you, and I wanted to thank each and every single one of you who has sent me positive love, who has embraced me and loved me. I know who I am. I know what I stand for, and I'm grateful for those who know me and know what I have to contribute, all the heart and love that I have for the movement, for our peoples, for the struggle. So uh, thank you. This morning I was also amongst family at the New York Women's Foundation breakfast, being honored by some remarkable women, um, who have been heroes of mine in the movement, and grateful for the New York Women's Foundation to honor me and the work that I've done at the Arab American Association and here in New York City. I'm just grateful. So gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And I said this at the New York Women's Foundation breakfast, and I've been saying this. Just want you to know that I will not be silenced and I will not be intimidated. So I will keep doing what I'm doing. Now, this is where the important parts come. So, um, I don't want you to be distracted. I think we are being very distracted right now. And I came back more rejuvenated, recalibrated, I'm centered. I know what needs to happen. And I want you to understand that we are in such a critical moment right now. Like, you are watching democracy crumble right before your very eyes. And it is about time that we all realize what is happening around us. Now, while I was away, your president fired the head of the FBI. Now, I'm a Muslim. I'm not exactly a fan of the FBI. I don't think the FBI is a fan of me or Muslims either. So this is not about this particular FBI director. We understand that the FBI has long time engaged in racial, religious profiling of communities, have targeted protesters and civil rights leaders in the past. So this is not about the FBI. This is about abuse of power. Now, the FBI director was engaging in investigations of the President of the United States of America. That President of the United States of America did not want to be under investigation, so he thought the best thing to do was to fire the FBI director. I want that to sink in a little bit here, what is happening here. That the President of the United States of America just abused his power by putting us and our democracy we're literally in chaos and shambles. We couldn't even find people representing the White House to even come out and respond to why and how that happened. In fact, the president himself, in a letter to FBI Director Comey, or former FBI Director Comey, actually said in the letter, like, kind of like when Nixon said, "I'm not a crook, I'm not a crook, I'm not a crook." He actually said in the letter 3 times that he was not under investigation, when in fact we all know that he was under investigation. So this is important, and this requires that we all find ways to pressure the government right now, pressure our members of Congress and state Senate and U.S. senators to demand that there be a special independent prosecutor in the Trump investigation. This is not about Trump. This is about transparency, that if you are going to be the president of the United States of America, you're not like us. You're not an ordinary citizen. You're not a regular person. And if you did not want to be investigated, if you did not want people to ask you about your taxes, then don't be the president of the United States of America. So we have to understand how outrageous this is, and think about, what phone lines you need to shut down, and what other nonviolent, peaceful ways that we can demonstrate as an American public that we are absolutely outrageous and outraged. I'm sorry. And so this is serious business. So this Comey firing is not something to be taken lightly. It is very important that you focus. In midst of the firing of Comey, the U.S. Census Bureau director resigned. I mean, there are things happening, and we're not paying attention to what's going on around us, and we need to be very focused. The second thing that we're being distracted from is that the Senate health care bill. So remember, there was a bill that just passed in Congress that was what people are calling Trump Care, or the repeal and replacement of the Affordable Care Act, that basically most of us would fall under the categories that we are pre-existing condition. I mean, a woman is practically a pre-existing condition under this, under the Congress health bill. For example, I've had 3 C-sections. C-section apparently is one of the pre-existing conditions that are in that bill. Basic things, multiple sclerosis, even things like migraines. I mean, I saw a list and I couldn't believe the types of things that were on it. That would be considered pre-existing conditions, and it would hurt so many communities and people with disabilities, and people who have had prior, chronic illness. I mean, it's really serious. Okay, so the House passed the bill. So that doesn't mean that there's Trump care now. No, that just means that the House passed the bill. Senate must pass a bill. So the Senate must also introduce a similar bill to the bill that passed in the House in order for it to then be on the path to becoming a law. And then once the Senate passes the bill, it's still not a law. It has to go to the desk of the president, which then he signs, and then it becomes law. So what's the problem? The problem is that the bill that the House passed is absolutely outrageous, like unacceptable in so many ways, and we cannot stand for it. We cannot allow this government to take away our health insurance, and we cannot allow for, things like C-sections and people that have different types of, illnesses and disabilities to be pre-existing conditions, which means that we may not be able to afford to buy our own health care based on these factors. Now, the Senate bill is being drafted right now. And guess what? No surprises here. There is not one woman that is on the committee or in the group that is drafting that bill. So we basically have white men, so not even anyone who's a minority or person of color, who is on the committee to draft the Senate bill. And if the Senate bill passes, that means that the president is going to sign it. Republican House, Republican Senate, and a Republican White House. Like, the math is pretty simple, right? So while we're outraged about this Comey firing, which you should be, because this is literally abuse of power. It's the beginning of an authoritarian regime. I'm from the Middle East. I think I know a little something about that. And then the Senate health care bill is very important for you to focus on and make sure that your representatives, I don't care if they're Republicans or Democrats, I don't care what side of the aisle you are on, that you need to be outraged at who is legislating about our health care, about our bodies, about how we get health care, who gets health care, when we get health care, under what circumstances we get health care. And the craziest part of this whole thing is that who's exempt from all the requirements of the bill that's being, particularly the one that came out of Congress. They don't have to worry. They have full coverage. They don't have to worry about fighting for their health care. So it's not like their bill applies to everybody. It does not apply to everybody. It applies to all of us except for them. So in order for you to have great health benefits, you have to run for Congress and you have to win and have a congressional seat. That's not exactly something that all of us are going to be able to do. So I am telling you once again, and I'm going to emerge every week or every couple of weeks to remind you to stay focused on what is happening around us, that the opposition is coordinated, that the Republican Party is more emboldened than they ever have been in a long time, even when they were in the majority, and that you need to do a few things. Number one, show up at town halls. I don't care where the town hall is. If there's a town hall in your district, show up. And not only show up, speak up. Ask questions. Ask hard questions, because these elected officials, FYI, are working on your taxpayer dollars. That you pay them their salary, and they're supposed to represent you. So you need to make sure that you're holding them accountable. So show up to town halls. You call them every day if you have to, and you say, look, I know your people are drafting a Senate health care bill, and you better make sure that you do not align with Congress on the bill that they passed, because you do not support the repealing of Obamacare and the stripping of health insurance from millions of Americans, in particular those who need it the most. So you keep calling every day if you have to. If you have to show up at the office and give that message in person, like, this is the time to be doing all of that. Are you registered to vote? Look, I've been criticized in the past by so many parts of the progressive movement about this idea that electoral politics is not the way to organize. Our democracy doesn't work. And, look, generally speaking, I agree. I also understand there are voter suppression laws, which is another thing that you need to stay focused on, that they're going to continue to pass voter ID laws and voter suppression laws across this country. So you want to make sure that you're following your state, which usually these legislations are passed on the state level. So you need to be focused on that. Now, are you registered to vote? Number one, go online, register to vote, find out if you could do it online in some states. You got to register to vote like right now. Did you know that only 55% of eligible voters in the United States actually go to the polls? Think about that. 55% of eligible voters vote. In other countries, in Europe, we're talking 85, 87, 90%. You need to register to vote, and then when it's time to vote, you need to vote. Now, I understand on a presidential level that doesn't seem like it works. Electoral college, there's a lot of complications, but on the local level, it works, and it is the popular vote that gets members of Congress into office, that gets members of the state legislature, that gets members of the city council in office. So all politics is local. All politics is local. Okay? Register to vote and get ready to vote. Literally in 2018, I know that we're going to continue building power, we're going to continue organizing, we're going to continue training, and we're going to continue building base. And I'm all about that. Building leadership, investing in young people, investing in communities of color, winning local campaigns. I'm all about that. It's what I've been doing for 16 years. But I also want us to understand that electoral politics is critical in this moment. And if you're not registered to vote, you need to be registered to vote. You need to literally go home tonight, ask every single person in your family if they are US citizens, are they registered to vote? You have to, your colleagues, your coworkers, the people that you organize with, I don't know what else I need to tell you about how important this moment is for protecting our public education, for protecting our health insurance, for protecting our healthcare systems, for ensuring the infrastructure, for continuing to focus on issues like Flint, to look at what's going to happen around issues of police accountability and law enforcement accountability. As hard as it was for us under President Obama, just imagine how hard it's going to be under Jeff Sessions and this new administration. So I'm still here. I'm back, and I'm grateful to all my people that are out there, and I'm going to be out here fighting for you, because I'm fighting for my family, I'm fighting for my community, and I want you to stay focused. And I want you to ask yourself this question: what are you willing to risk for your community and family? You know, what is it? What can you do outside of your comfort zone? Something that you may have never done before that you are willing to do in this moment. What type of nonviolent resistance are you ready to be a part of? You know, are you ready for civil disobedience? Are you ready to engage on a level and consistent level like you ever did before? And, you know, when I watch what's happening around me, the question that I ask myself, and I hope you ask yourself, is 60 years from now, someone's gonna ask you, where were you when all this was happening? What were you doing? You know, what were you doing when they were banning the Muslims? What were you doing when they were stripping the rights away of LGBTQIA communities with their religious liberties order? Where were you when they stripped millions of Americans from health insurance, which literally people could die? Where were you when these things were happening? And God only knows what else is going to happen. Such an unpredictable yet predictable administration. So I'm just back to tell you once again, do not be distracted. Stay focused. We have a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do together. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care if you and I agree on every single issue, but I think there are fundamental things that I would say ordinary people should agree on, which is people don't deserve to die just because they can't afford health insurance or health care. I think people deserve to live in safety and dignity. I think we could all agree that people shouldn't be discriminated against based on, you know, anything: race, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, the economic status. I mean, we should be able to be and live in this country. And what's really interesting, and I have to share this with you because it's really funny actually. I was tweeting the other day about how, you know, the Senate healthcare bill is being drafted by basically all white men. Literally, I'm not even exaggerating. You can look it up yourself. And people were, you know, trolls were responding to me and saying, that's how it is in Saudi Arabia. Ain't no woman doing this and ain't no woman doing that. And I'm thinking to myself, and this is where I get myself in trouble, because people don't understand my snark. I don't know why Saudi Arabia is the standard for anybody else. I live in the United States of America, and Saudi Arabia is not my benchmark. And if you think that telling me that Saudi Arabia violates the rights of women is some sort of, you know, Sherlock Holmes, like you're the only person that knows that, and because you know that you deserve some sort of award, like it's really clear as the blue skies. Like it's not something that you have to tell me. So when I'm saying to you that in this country, people should not die in one of the largest democracies in the world, one of the most wealthiest nations in the world, don't tell me about what they're doing in other countries across the world, because I don't live there. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, and I do not want my neighbors and my friends and my colleagues to die because they don't have access to health insurance, while you're too busy telling me about what they're doing in other countries where in fact they don't have democracy, and in fact they are run by by regimes and dictatorships. Like, don't this for me is a moment that you as an American do not compare yourself to anybody else. The focus for me is how we in this country should have higher standards for ourselves as people who purport that we're the most, advanced country in the world. And here we are literally fighting for healthcare in this country. And I think it's absolutely outrageous that we have to do that. And so I'm saying to all of you today is focus, build community, call your state legislators. If you're not registered to vote, register to vote, and then vote when the time comes. There are elections this year, there are elections next year that are important. For God's sakes, if you're ready, why don't you run? Like, we can't stop. I mean, I don't understand what we're expecting from a Congress that's about 80% men. Like, I don't know what we expect them to do that is different. So I'm hoping to support more women running for office. I'm hoping to help fund more women running for office, and I'm hoping to support more people of color, more young people. We got to do it. So let's stay focused. I'm having a hard time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm struggling over here. I'm struggling with the hate. I'm not gonna act like that's not bothering me. It's bothering me on a very deep level. But I also am focused because this is not about me. It's about us and our movement. And we're going to be tore down, and people are going to try, and they're going to delegitimize our leadership, and they're going to put things before us so we can be distracted from the things that we need to be focused on. And our focus is our people. Our focus is our communities. Our focus is our neighbors, our schools, our hospitals. This is our focus, right? So the way we will win is by being focused on what we need to be focused on, which is our people, and not focused on the things that are being fed to us either through the media or by people that are distracting us with these side shenanigans that really are not what we're supposed to be. It's a tactic. It's like distract you from the real issue. Then all of a sudden you wake up and you say, oh my God, what happened? Well, you were too busy being distracted by Twitter accounts and, rallies by deplorables than you were by what's actually happening on the ground. So our communities need you. Undocumented people need you. Muslims need you. People of color need you. LGBTQIA communities need you. People with disabilities need you right now. Our public school students need you. Our teachers need you. We need you, and we need you to be focused. So don't be distracted. Remember, Senate healthcare bill and this Comey firing is just the beginning. So you guys got to stay focused on that. It's not just another headline and then you move on with your life. You got to stay focused on these things. So I'm grateful to all of you, and I'm very proud to be a member of the resistance with all of you. And I hope that more of you become more engaged in the work that we're doing. You can join the New York Justice League. You can support the Women's March, which has a lot more work in store that we'll be revealing to all of you soon. You can support the work of organizations like the Arab American Association of New York, where our clients are literally in fear. They don't know what's going to happen. They are refugees. They are immigrants. They are asylees. They have come to this country for a better life, and now they live in fear within the United States of America. We just heard a story in the Bronx where a substitute teacher was fired just yesterday, where a substitute teacher pulled off the hijab of an 8-year-old girl in an elementary school. Like, what do you think that child is feeling right now? Like, what message did that substitute teacher share with that child when they felt that it was okay to harass and physically assault an 8-year-old? Like, listen carefully, 8 years old. God help me if that was my child. Like, I'm sorry, I have a line that just doesn't get crossed. And the fact that this child now is experience in school is to get her hijab pulled off in a public school is absolutely outrageous to me. So this is what our parents are listening to. This is what the stories that we hear, and our people, unfortunately, live in fear, and some of it is justified. And I hope that you are helping to create community where these people are not afraid, that you are ready to support them and stand with them and intervene in these situations. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I just wanted to share and just let you know that I'm back so you could see me. Got my hands, I got a little sun kissed. I'm trying to be away from the world, but unfortunately, when you're in Mexico, your phone still works. So I still knew about all the crazy things that were happening in my beloved country, the United States of America. So I hope to put out some more information soon about some things that are coming up, some more demonstrations and some more mobilizations and other opportunities for us to engage, because the time is now, sisters and brothers. I will not be the one. I will have an answer. When someone asks me, where the hell were you, Linda, when all this stuff was happening? I don't know about you, but I'm gonna have a long list of places I was and things that I did. And I hope that you join me in being able to make a list to say, I didn't sit back. I wasn't quiet. I didn't allow the opposition to scare or silence me. I stood up. I stood up for all marginalized communities. I stood up for women. I stood up for our communities, for our mothers. Hope to see you all soon. Don't be distracted and stay focused.